What's up, everybody? Welcome back to more Digi and Best Guy Ever Content! It's content, and you're here to consume it. Today we're talking about the 4 episodes that are out so far of hit show of the, what are we, fall season now?
Fall 2019 anime season.
Beastars!
Wow! Beastars, based on a manga that's been popular on the A board of 4chan for some time. I've been hearing about it, and when they announced that they were going to make an anime, the first teasers showed CG, and everybody went, "Oh no, not my CG!"
Yep.
But it's Studio Orange doing it. They also did Land of the Lustrous, which everybody
loved that show. Yeah.
And this show looks pretty good.
Let's get that right out of the way immediately. I too, I mean, I looked at the character designs. I thought, I'm gonna fucking puke. This makes me want to die. I saw the CG previews and stuff. I thought, I'm gonna fucking puke. This makes me want to die. But then I actually watched the fucking show, and I was like, this is like Guilty Gear fucking Arc System Works kind of actually good 3D animation that is pleasing to the eye and doesn't make me want to puke and fucking die.
Yeah.
It was good.
Good. Our buddy Tom Oliver had this video series a while back talking about the problems with 3D animation in anime, and you know, he had praised that Land of the Lustrous occasionally has these great action scenes where it really utilizes the 3D environment, where like the camera and the movement of the characters is based around the idea that this is rendered in 3D in a way that's more similar to a video game cutscene. And Beastars really goes all in on that. Like, it really feels like at this point they've figured out we should not try to make this just look like anime. And like, you can still have cool like individual shot compositions. You know, you don't have to have characters like constantly moving, which a lot of CG shows do. Just that weird non-stop movement, which this show does a little bit of that.
Yeah, sometimes. But there's also the counter side of this is that sometimes when the characters do stand so still in like a 3D animated show, it almost feels like they're being lazy, or like, ooh, this one's like weirdly still. Like no one's moving at all. You see background characters do that a lot, and it seems a bit unnatural when you might have, I don't know.
But there's plenty of, you know, gesticulation, there's plenty of head movement, which are things that are easier to do in 3D, which can create more natural feeling interactions between the characters, and it's like, if you can do that, use that strength. That is one of the worthwhile strengths of 3D animation to capitalize on.
There's one scene in, I think, the 2nd episode, maybe it was the 3rd, where the dear guy Lewis is doing he's just talking to main character's name?
Legosi.
Legosi, the wolf man.
Legosi's dead.
That's the one.
Undead, undead, undead.
Where they do kind of like a split screen effect, where we see like the detailed articulation of Lewis's mouth as he's talking to Legosi, and we see Legosi's hands like as he's gesticulating, and it looked really good. I was like, you probably wouldn't see that in most 2D animated shows.
Because animating hands is hard.
Sure
but if
is.
it's in 3D, it's all there. You don't have to draw it again and again. And like, that's another thing. Perspective, like, in anime, perspective is the most difficult thing, because if you have something moving through perspective, like through the foreground, through the background, you have to constantly think about, like, you know, foreshortening the lines further and further.
What were we watching? One of the things I think we reviewed just had a character like jogging, and it was supposed to be like they're moving towards us, but they were simply like jogging in place. I can't remember what fucking, but we just the other day saw like the exact problem that like isn't a problem here in this show. I guess.
And because of that, when they do, let's say, an action scene, there's a really impressive scene in episode 4, the fight between Legosi and the tiger, where
Bill the tiger,
where the camera is like constantly, you know, circling them, but not in like a obnoxious trying to make things look cool way. It's more like it'll slow down, pan around like a certain position that the two of them are in, then continue moving as their fight continues. And like, it gave it was just really interesting to watch, because the camera, like, and I keep saying camera because when you're filming in a digital space, you can literally have a camera that is moving around the characters, as opposed to literally redrawing them to fake camera effects. But like, it was just a level of like exciting camera work that almost is not possible in any medium other than 3D animation, because like in 2D, again, it would be extremely difficult to pull off for just a random fight in a TV show. But like in live action, it would just be difficult to like, the space isn't real. Like you have to fabricate the idea of the space through lighting, through all this other crew and things that would be off to the sides. In 3D, you can just get the camera right in there, get the most interesting version of the action, and this show does a good job of things like that. And like, I'm talking about all this because of the fact that people are still very down on 3D animation.
Yep.
And I don't completely understand why, because I think we all love 3D animation when it's not in a shitty TV.
Well, I think the answer to that is simply that there hasn't been enough things of decent CG to convince, at the very least, the anime watching population that we're like at a stage where we can just trust CG to be good. And I mean, that was my experience too with this. I didn't expect this to be good, but right. and like if you go in, because the mediums are all different, right? If you love like Sakuga animation, you love the creme de la creme of what you can do in the artistic medium of 2D animation. This is different from that. This is not what you get. So I think it's just like people kind of feeling the change, feeling some pain from the transition into a new medium in what's still being called anime, even though it's kind of a different thing. And they're just taking a while to adjust.
Yeah, I mean,
fair.
I just think if you watch this show and you like, I could understand not liking the character design
or the story or any of that shit,
or or even the visual tone of the show might not be that interesting. The setting is not necessarily that interesting. It's just a high school essentially, like in terms of its visual tone, but the way that scenes are portrayed is so unique and so good. Where like the first episode has that scene where everybody's drawn in like, it's supposed to take place in the dark and you can't see anything. So they just kind of have like an outline of lighting around the character models.
Yeah.
That
sick.
Looks really cool. There's the part where like in episode 2 when Lugosi's like laying in bed and you just see like these like blood ripples coming out from under the bed, like he's in this weird like headspace location. Like there's lots of trippy visuals.
I really liked you probably never get this, or it would look really awkward in 2D animation. The like the effect of like the scents coming through the air, and Lugosi like gets a big whiff, which always reminds me of that meme of the dude and his brain, because the scent goes in and like permeates his brain. There's a meme of that dude whose brain is filled with like, he's smelling some girl and it's like childhood friend, went to church together, went to school together, grew up together, but then the big overpowering whiff is smell of a sweating girl mixed with like her dirty laundry or some shit, and that just overpowers his sexual desires, which is effectively what happens to Lugosi in these scenes. And it's pretty fucking sick. So yeah, shit like that's creative and is kind of unique to the medium. I mean, you just, I can understand having low expectations, but if you go in this and you open your mind a little bit, there's a lot of cool stuff here that I enjoyed.
And I'll say, like, I mean, those things I was criticizing are things I myself have a little bit of a problem with. I think the character designs look kind of goofy. Yeah. The big moe eyes on a lot of the animal characters are, sometimes you look at it, you just go, that looks really stupid.
I mean, a great comparison point there is it's a double-edged sword with like, I mean, this art style, this aesthetic is animal heads just sandwiched on top of human bodies, and immediately that made me terrified that it was just going to be awful. But like then you get the weird thing is you get the one Hana, right? The bunny character. She has like a perfectly rabbit-looking head, where her head looks like an exact rabbit, including her eyes, and it's a little bit strange to see rabbit eyes that don't have any like whites. It's just the pure whatever iris or whatever. But then there's other rabbit characters that like have more anime-ified eyes, and like just seeing those two talk to each other. I mean, it's slightly unnerving. I'm not really into Hana's design. It is kind of creepy to me and weird looking. She is by far the most upsetting character design, I think, in the whole show. And she's like the secondary main character.
Your cock is just confused.
I guess so. I guess so.
This show definitely is like this. Like we can call this furry, right? Like I mean, I don't think it's made for furries or like in the furry community.
It's definitely on the spectrum to some degree.
The characters are furries. Like they are humanoid.
I am wolf. I am a bunny. Yeah.
With fur all over their body. Like they look like furry characters. I think that it's odd because like with the kind of show that it is, like with the story they are trying to tell, these are kind of the only designs that really make sense
in this style with this writing. Yeah.
And I mean, I'll say that the manga definitely looks. I think the designs fit the manga better because the design is a really distinct. The manga has a really distinct art style. The anime definitely changes it massively, but
It would
again,
have to,
it uses the things it can do in 3D to great effect to make
I
it
was
a
wondering,
different experience.
because I never read the manga. I've been wondering what just like the perception of the reader of the original would. I mean, if there was like a big change, I'd probably be pissed. I'd be like, this isn't like the thing, which is a totally warranted point to have. But just as someone coming in, just looking at this, I just see a lot of good. So you know.
Well, I guess we should talk about the actual plot and characters and
Yes.
things that aren't visuals.
The first thing I want to say about this is just that, to your point about how the designs have to be this way, this is so, like, stereotypically J-drama, or K-drama. I've watched more K-dramas. Like, that's the feel of the show. All the characters act exactly like that way. The misunderstandings and the miscommunications and the way characters just drop information or assert things so assertively when they couldn't possibly know. Classic K-drama shit. And that's why, like, they have to have these, like, human bodies. If it was, like, normal animals or perhaps more animalified characters, it would be even weirder. So I guess that was just, like, an important tone to set for the rest of the story. But
I mean,
yeah.
like, because what this show is basically just a high school drama.
Yes.
And, you know, it's kind of interesting. I think that the way that, perhaps the reason they used these animal characters was so that they could explore things that might come off as like more edgy if they weren't animal characters. Like explicitly, the rabbit girl, her thing is that she is a slut.
She's a bitchy slut.
Like she fucks all the guys at school, and she
unprompted.
Usually there's some kind of prompt.
There's usually a prompt. She makes
like,
some mistakes.
I mean, it's clear that what they're trying to explore with her character is the idea of somebody who basically thinks that all men want from her is sex.
Yes.
Like, she's had no reason to believe that she has anything really other to offer people, but in spite of the fact that she can satisfy all these men with sex, all the women hate her, they bully her constantly,
right?
And she just kind of slags it all off, like, whatever, you know.
She's pretty tough.
This is the way it is. Like, this is what my life is I fuck guys and I get beat up by women, you know.
Yep.
So, like, I think that's an interesting character to explore, but I also think, like, if this were like a regular anime moe girl, it would definitely like not come off the same way.
It would be far more depressing, probably, because there's intermingled throughout all this is the whole predator prey, carnivore herbivore dynamic. That it's a weird thing, because my immediate reaction upon seeing this whole thing is like, okay, it's Zootopia. It's just Zootopia. Zootopia was obviously like a social commentary on, like, at the very, like, race relations or whatever, right? And the problem is in this show, it's even more, like, it's far more legitimate for characters to be afraid of each other based on these categorizations, because we see murder happen all the time. Our main character, who we're supposed to empathize with, is like this fucking close to murdering a girl. He just smelled her. All he did was smell her.
I mean, okay, that's where things got confusing to me, because so going into this show, I had no idea this was like just a high school drama until by the end of episode 1, maybe episode 2, you know. I had like fully understood what the show was supposed to be. In that first episode, like, the first thing we see is an herbivore being hunted down by a carnivore and killed. We find out through the school, information is spreading, a carnivore killed one of the herbivores. And, like, clearly this doesn't happen often.
Not often, but it does happen. It's like a known crime. But
it's like considered to be like the worst, most heinous crime. And the fact that it would happen at school is particularly terrifying. Everybody's kind of on edge. The herbivores are looking at the carnivores like, what the fuck? One of you guys had to do this, you know? And then Lugosi, like, springs and almost kills this rabbit girl at the end of the episode.
He totally plays into the exact fears.
However, it seemed to me at that point in the episode that this was literally a Zootopia plot where somebody is, like, making this happen.
It could be.
Because you know, when he first inhaled the smell, I didn't have the impression that it was just her smell. I thought he was, like, inhaling some kind of gas that was making him act that way. Because it lights up all the synapses in his body. Well, that was just what I thought in the first episode. And then the second episode comes around and there's this whole scene of him, like, facing off against this dark, unspecific character. And it's kind of presented as though this is just like his own inner voice, his own inner desire to eat. But at the same time, like, it seems to have a different voice from him. Like, it seems like its own entity. So I'm just thinking, even as I watched episode 2, is this just the person who is causing this to happen? Like, is it justified for herbivores to be this afraid of carnivores? Or is this like something that never happens and somebody's making it happen? There needed to be more clarity on that front.
Maybe
like,
they'll get to that, you know,
I mean, I have
assume.
to imagine that if it is a bad guy, they're trying to keep it secret for a while and reveal it as a twist. But, you know, I just felt like if it wasn't that, then it seems like this should happen all the time.
In keeping, like, if we're going to play along to the narrative of the show, we see so much mortal danger that animals are in. Like little animals are almost crushed to death, like constantly by the big animals. The temptation to kill each other is there. And like the Lugosi talks about, I have to suppress my urges every day so I don't kill my fucking classmates. And you know, to an extent, like I feel like the point that they'd be getting at with all this, which I think is what they did in Zootopia too, is it's about free will, right? Yeah. Like we shouldn't judge a carnivore because every carnivores work really hard to eat tofu, to satisfy their urges in other ways. They jerk off to bestiality porn of like killing other people. Yeah. So, but it's animated, so it's totally fine. Nothing to worry about, guys. And you know, it's just. If free will is like the message we're supposed to take away from this, then great. I don't know. I feel like if you ask
will
their
or willpower, is that what you're saying?
Willpower is really what I mean. Yeah, but same, two sides of the same coin. I wonder what the author would say if one were to ask him about like what this means, because I get the sense that this series, unlike Zootopia, leans more on this is kind of just like animal dynamics, more than like Zootopia was kind of overtly like actual social commentary.
Right. Well, because it was, you know, people are getting eaten left and right in Zootopia. Yeah. But I mean. In this show, like, I know that there are a lot more characters who eventually arrive. Possibly who have more motives. Like, I don't really know where this story expands to. These first 4 episodes are kind of a self-contained arc. Just about this play that's getting put on. I've seen Who Will Win the Lugosi Bowl like, charts on A.
Lewis versus Hannah and...
Yeah, they're both in there. And then, like... 6 other people who have not been introduced yet, you know. So I'm thinking that this story is going to have a lot more characters, be a bit more sprawling. It won't just be high school drama all the way.
Good, because that can get boring very quickly.
I think it would, because we've already pretty much established all the characters, all their shit already. You know, like by the end of episode 4, it really felt like, okay, this arc should be concluding. We should be moving on. This was a nice little story, but I need us to now open up this story.
It would be the perfect little arc of like we find out who the one who committed the murder on like the alpaca herbivore at the beginning, but then there's a little hint like, wait, maybe he was like forced to do it or was like coerced or like his like I think that's literally what happened in Zootopia, but it just leads to the larger mystery of like who's trying to create the divide between herbivores and carnivores. That's a perfect way for this story to go.
Yeah, I mean it just seems like where it's supposed to go, but I mean it could take any route. I don't know, and of course people who've read the manga are going to
they'll know what the fuck happens.
But let's all pretend the manga doesn't exist for the sake of this video, because neither of us have read it.
Nope.
And assumably, if you have already read the manga, you don't care about our thoughts on the first 4 episodes of this anime.
I'd imagine so.
Beyond how it, you know, whether or not we think it is good, which I thought it was good. I mean, I had seen these first 2 episodes already. We just rewatched the first 4, and I think that there's a lot of just strong character writing. Maybe not the best plot writing, like the way that things... You said yourself, there's a lot of melodrama.
I'm not a big fan of melodrama, and there was quite a bit of it,
There's a lot of characters just taking things very seriously, more so than it seems like they need to.
I was reflecting on this larger concept. I've watched quite a bit of like K-drama, J-drama, as well as anime, of course, and I'm thinking it might be a cultural divide, because watching this show really reminded me of like the K-dramas I've watched, and it's like the characters... Like, it's the drama team, right? It's the drama club at school that's putting on a play, and these characters take this shit so seriously. I was literally in the drama club in my high school as the lead actor in the musicals and the normal plays most of the time, and none of us cared like 1/1000% about what we were doing as much as these characters do. And I respect them, but it's like, they're acting... in a way that's hard for me to connect with because they care so much.
I mean,
about what's happening.
It's definitely a big difference between like our culture in Japan. Like clubs in America, nobody cares.
It's that wabi sabi or something, right?
Yeah.
Put your whole spirit into it's that Nippon Banzai, right? Whatever. It's one of those Japanese things about putting your whole spirit into the one task that you perform, right?
Yeah.
And I respect that greatly. It's pretty cool. But man, as a fucking fat ass American, it's hard to get down with this shit. I just want to shoot my shotgun and fuck my wife. Know what I'm saying, bro?
Dude. But yeah, the Antlers guy, he is extremely serious about the play. Like there's this idea that he's trying to be a B-star, the B-star, which I don't know if there's like if that's like a name you're given. Like, is that an actual? Do you get like a stripe on your uniform? I
think it's an official award, like an honorary title you get. I think that's the idea.
So the B-star is whoever is considered like the shining example of just like good personhood at the school, I guess.
And I think it like you're like a exemplar of like interspecies relationships. I think that's the idea. It's supposed to be a like unifying title or something.
So obviously Antler Boy wants to be the B-star. He's also lead actor.
Yeah.
He's very serious about the play to the extent that
he's a cool guy.
He like breaks his leg and just keeps on practicing and even performing, you know, long after it's been broken to the point where he collapses on stage eventually.
And it creates really cool melodrama of like, wow, he's working so hard when like if the Nibba just went to the doctor at the start, like he might have been fine by the time it was time to perform, but whatever.
Yeah, it's just like you understand the motivations of the characters.
Yeah,
you understand why they are making these actions, but like as an individual unable to relate to it, you just kind of find yourself screaming like, "Just go to the doctor. It's not a big deal."
Or like you're just not communicating clearly. Just say the words that you have. Like when Lugosi goes to get flowers from Hana. Look, I understand. In that scene, this is the girl he literally just assaulted and was attempting to murder last night. And he was going to murder her, but someone interrupted him. So I get why he's on edge. But for some reason, and this is why like high school dramas are so difficult to watch at like my age now in personal development, I guess. He lacks a fundamental ability to just say words such as, I am here to pick up roses for the drama club. Can you please give them to me? Do you require, okay, I will pay you. I will give you what you, like, just say the fucking words, dude. But he like, I mean, it's like shenanigans. His
character is social.
What about the other guy? The other guy ran away too for no reason because,
I guess he was scared of Bunny Girl.
He was scared of her trying to fuck them, apparently, because that's what he says afterwards.
And that's another odd thing. Like everybody, like,
why are you scared of that?
Yeah, I understand why the girls are bullying her, but the guys all being like, "Oh, we gotta stay away from her because she'll fuck you,
give us AIDS." I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. Sounds like I should hang out with her all the time.
Yeah,
like, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess the concern, like when we see in episode 3, the guy, the other Harlequin rabbit that she fucked, talking about having had sex with her, and he makes it out like he had this wonderful experience, but then one of the other guys has already fucked her and tells her about it, and like he's very disappointed. So
I've had experiences like that, and it is quite deflating. You think that you're special, but then, oh no, I'm one of a million. One of an endless stream of cocks on the cock carousel, my dudes.
But I mean, if you, as long as you know, what is the problem?
Nothing.
Like,
nothing.
What are you?
You can make an informed decision.
By? Yeah.
I don't know. Well, there's a lot of like rumor mongering going on, right? Yeah. And I mean, even in that situation, Lugosi says like he's like, nah, man, like sure, she like just tried to fuck me. I didn't even say anything, and she tried to fuck me, but like. There's more to her, you know? Yeah, she's a slut, but there's more. There's more. Which is like, true and good. Yeah,
there's lots of good theming in this show. Again, like it's, I'm sort of like criticizing these elements of the characters, not so much as to say like this is bad writing, just so much as like, I mean, it is understandable high school behavior, but like we as adults can look at that and just be like, like. All right,
I too acted like a retard in high school, so yeah.
But like. So it's not that it's not understandable, just that it's perhaps not the most interesting way that characters could interact. But the themes that they're trying to explore through those interactions can be interesting. Like, I like the idea that the Bunny character is, like, grappling with this particular angle of her sexuality. That, like, she loves to fuck, clearly. but it's not about that. It's about the fact that she thinks that's what guys want from her. She thinks that's the only way she can be useful to other people is to give them her body. And she's just treated like shit by everybody, including the people who she fucks. Like,
yeah.
They're not even like nice about it. They're all spreading rumors about her and talking shit.
I assume she arrived at this mindset through like a lifetime of feeling like prey and in danger and vulnerable, and like sexuality is her tool with which she can control the world around her, at least to some degree, which has all these negative consequences. That's a cool story. I enjoy
and then the
hearing
fact
about
that
it.
like Lugosi, who clearly is romantically interested in her, sees so much. Like, he had no intentions of trying to fuck her. He's so out of the loop as just a person that he had not even heard the rumors. You know, he knew nothing about this girl, but watching her tend to the garden, he like can't take his eyes off of her. He's just like mesmerized by her like diligence, her care for these plants, the fact that she calls them her children, and he's like, you know what, I really respect her and I think that she's cool, you know, regardless of who she fucks or whatever. So like, knowing he feels that way about her, it's like, oh, this is exactly the kind of man she needs in her life. Someone who can teach her to like respect her body, and like, you know, he literally puts a blanket on her and is like, you're gonna get cold, like, what are you doing? You know? It's like, this is somebody who, you know, maybe he will fuck her eventually, but he'll do it because he loves her, not because he's just trying to get enough.
But, and of course, in that, there's that duality, in that when he first was aware of her existence, it was simply as prey. He was just, like, talk about objectification. I mean, that's the ultimate form, right? But then it's the, like, that's the pure beast side of the guy. But then the complete other side is his intellectual capacity, and presumably these two forces are at war within him, as is probably true of all the animals in Beastar series and shit.
So that's all good.
Yeah.
And, I like the side. There's a lot of big emotions in the side characters where, like, you know, there's the guy who's been like axed from the acting roster and forced to work backstage with Lugosi, who's like pissed off. You've got the Tiger who ends up, you know, getting a chance to play the lead on the second run of the play.
He was winning me over when he was so ready to take over when Lewis was hurt, and it was not that he just wanted to. He was prepared and he was able to do it immediately.
I mean, they did a great job of setting up his whole character in just one episode.
Yeah.
Because it's like, throughout the show, the first three, you know, you've got the Lugosi and Bunny Girl thing going on.
Yeah.
Like, that is its own little plot. We learn about her and the way people treat her, the way she sees herself, the way they interact, his almost eating her. That's all basically, like, in the background plot-wise, especially as we go into episodes 3 and 4, where that becomes less and less of a focus. Whereas the main plot is that the herbivore who got eaten at the start of episode 1 was one of the actors in this play. Lugosi is in the... he's a backstage guy.
Tech guy, whatever, rigger or something.
Of the drama club. And, you know, there's all this drama about who's going to take over the spot that guy who died was in. And, you know, for whatever reason, the deer guy wants this other dude to do it. Well, because the guy who wanted to replace him had fucked up twice on stage. And he's like, we can't have people who fuck up on stage. You're not going. This other guy's going. But then the deer man injures himself while practicing, so he's walking around on a limp. He's fucking trying to do it his best, but he's like dying out there. And he is a total dick. Like, in spite of the fact that he is supposed to be Prince Charming, god of the school, and he is very attentive, he's attuned to the needs of the people around him.
He's a true politician through and through. Yeah.
But his, like, attitude towards people is, like, everything he says is deeply racist, speciesist, whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
He's very racist.
So he'll say that to your face. He's, like, not hiding that.
He's you know, domineering. He's very commanding. He just tells people what to do. You know, he's a dick, but he
says in his head, I can only rely on myself. All these, even in acting, it's the wrong field to choose if you want to be a solitary guy.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he's just like, fuck these people. I'm the only one who can do this shit.
He believes that, you know, he is the only one good enough to make this thing as good as it needs to be. Even
Maybe
on his broken leg. And so, in episode 4, when he has done his first performance and collapsed, they're like, we have to put somebody else in. So we establish this Tiger character who's been around, but we didn't know anything about him. And we learn a lot about this character all at once. That he's like you know, super driven. He thinks about, like, he's very proud of being a carnivore and of like this idea that, you know, he's an overpowering presence who's supposed to like muscle his way forward in the world, you know. Discrimination
goes both ways, and it seems like he felt a little maybe this is bad, but he felt weird that like Louis a deer was the leader when he, a tiger, a predator, was playing second fiddle to him. I don't know, like, maybe that's...
and it's interesting because they respect each other because of this fact that they both are the type of person who's, like, out there trying to get it. And they both kind of don't respect Lugosi because even though he is a powerful carnivore who could do like this tiger and, like, you know, just forge forward and try to accomplish everything, he deliberately hides in the shadows because he's afraid of his nature as a carnivore.
Indeed, that's his main thing.
You know, and, like, it's also kind of implied that, like, the fact that he is trying to hide it so much might be why it bursts forward in such like concentrated anger spouts, you know, as we also see in episode 4 when he fucking goes ape shit and beats the fuck out of the tiger. So we find out that the tiger he's doping, dude.
He is doping with rabbit's blood.
He has a vial of rabbit's blood he got from somebody.
Which is interesting. I mean, that happens to be exactly what Lugosi would have gotten from when he scratched Hana in episode 1 or whatever. Okay, cool.
So he just considers this like a performance-enhancing drug, I guess, because it'll, I don't know, activate your carnivore powers, you know?
Like, it's not like heroin, it's just blood. But so presumably he's in like the effectively human trafficking. I'm kind of not sure how big a crime this is, because it's just blood, right?
But like,
you can get that.
All meat is illegal in this world. Like,
that's
any
true.
consumption of other creatures. So like, it's definitely an illegal drug. I don't know how harmful it is to have collected it. Like, I don't know if there's dead rabbits somewhere.
I'm kind of wondering if that's what I'm supposed to be reading, that he's been out murdering rabbits. I don't think so. But
I don't think he got it from somebody. But like, I would assume that there is a market of perhaps, you know, gangsters in the city who fucking kidnap, murder rabbits, sell all their blood for drugs.
You'd think so.
Who knows? But whatever the case, Lugosi is not okay with the fact that he's doping. And like, so he's putting on the performance and everybody's just kind of like, it's all right. And then Lugosi just runs out and beats the fuck out of him. They get into like a real serious carnivore battle, which has the audience on the edges of their seat. And then Broken Foot Boy just comes out and is like, I'm just gonna steal the show and make you all look stupid. And he comes out and does that, and everybody's like, yeah, fucking deers are cool.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
It was an interesting scene because it was very chaotic. It was like the play completely breaks down. But kind of the idea is like, well, the audience didn't care about this rendition of the play anyways. They were just there to see the deer. So when he comes out, it's kind of like he saved the show, even though he makes it something completely different.
He just completely fucked up the story. I was asking, like, if I was in the audience, I'd be like, well, what about like the other characters that were stuff? I want to hear like a final closure to their arcs. Did he actually beat the fucking other? It's like, actually, the plot of the play seemed pretty cool. It's about a Shinigami attempting to protect a woman who was supposed to have died, and now all the forces of nature are attempting to kill her because she has defied fate. Perhaps this is a metaphor for defying fate, being a carnivore, you know? It's in your nature to kill, but it's gonna take everything in you to avoid doing that to the people you care about, or something. I don't know.
It's odd, like when I think back on these episodes, I don't feel like as much happened as it felt like in the moment. The scenes are well done. Like, every scene in the show has like a good lead-in. There's good management of tension, you know, like episode 2, there's this scene where these two guys just get into a fight in the cafeteria, two carnivores. They're biting on each other. The cafeteria is an interesting setting because all the animals have to eat there, so you see how like the small animals have this like treetop cafe that they eat at because they literally would get crushed by the bigger animals if they walked around down there too much. And like these guys get into a fight. Lugosi like freaks out and tells them to stop. And one of them tries to fight him, and he's like trying to come up with excuses for why he can't fight. And this is why the deer like guy shows up, stops the fight, and criticizes him because he's like, you know, you could have just won the fight. You don't have to make up excuses and pretend you can't win, you know?
Yep.
But it's like he's afraid of people being afraid of him or something, so he won't. Or just being a bad person, I guess. Even though, like, Lugosi has nothing to lose reputation-wise because nobody talks to him. He has no social skills. He has no friends.
I think
he's just an awkward guy.
That's true, but I think his concern isn't really about his social standing. I think he's far more, like, consumed every day by like he's kind of like Superman. Superman is constantly terrified he's gonna exert too much force and like murder someone by mistake. I think that's his main issue in life. It's resulted in the character that we have here now.
I mean, think about it in terms of like the hedgehog's dilemma, right? As described in Ava, where like two hedgehogs can't get close because they'll inevitably hurt each other the closer they get. I think he's somebody who thinks that if he reveals anything about his real self, or if he gets too close to people, he will hurt them, and that's what he's afraid of. He's not even worried about other people hurting him at all. People literally physically and emotionally hurt him all the time, and he does not care. Like, it rolls right off because he doesn't care about himself or his well-being. He's only worried about other people. Yeah. And so it's like, you know, that's not endearing to other people, though. Like, people don't want you to treat them at a distance, treat them with kid gloves. It's like, that's why people won't approach you or won't communicate. You have to be willing to, you know, you have to be willing to be hated by some people and loved by other people to be understood, you know?
Yeah,
and like, if nobody knows anything about you, nobody connects with you at all. So, you know, this is me speaking from experience of my own, you know, like high school experience. It's like, if you're just quiet and you don't talk to anybody, you're a non-existent nobody
creature.
Talks to
no
you
one
at
cares.
All,
no one cares.
They don't know anything about you. They don't know how to approach you. They'll just make up things.
Yeah, they'll make negative assumptions probably, or you know,
in their own mind. And so like. And that happens to Lugosi all the time. Like there's some people who think that he's like this really dangerous carnivore because he's creepy and kind of stares at them, and there's other people who thinks he's just like this huge softy, this like, you know, nothing burger of a man essentially.
Yeah, you see a big guy walking on the street, and I don't know, he just can look mildly intimidating. But then he could just be like, oh hey, how's it going? You're like, oh hey, what's up? You make like that smallest bit of connection, and then you're like, oh, there's humanity in this person. We can communicate. I mean, that's what he needs if he's trying to grow. And they actually, his friends seem to be helping him, like, oh, Lewis, we got to work on your communication skills, buddy. So you're the one who's got to go do these errands or whatever.
Lugosi. Lewis was the
Lugosi. Louis.
The horn boy.
Yes, Antler Man Deer.
Antler Man Deer.
Well, there you go. I mean, I've pretty much said all I have to say. I guess I will just end my conclusionary thoughts here are... I very much enjoy. I mean, honestly, the CG spectacle was by far the most enjoyable thing about the show for me.
And a stop motion spectacle, because the OP
for the opening,
beautiful stop motion animation
with some sick swing jazz music as well. It's dope. It's a good opening.
You get this strong feeling watching this show that, much like with Land of the Lustrous, and maybe even to a greater extent, like the animators really cared about this material. They wanted to do something unique with it. They wanted to bring it to life in their own way, and they really put a lot of effort into it.
This is no like Berserk 2016 slapped together piece of shit CG garbage. This is a crafted show with work put into it and real thought and respect given to both the material and adapting it to the new art form. So it's worth your time so far for 4 episodes at least, I say.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that even if I'm not that invested in like the actual story or what's happening. Like, I don't care that much about the play. I don't care that much about the drama between all the characters. I would like the story to move into a more interesting direction, more plot driven. But I do think that, again, like, all the characters and the themes they represent are good. And this is an easy show to see people loving. Like, I think most people who would watch the show would like
Your average anime fan will probably get a lot of enjoyment out of this.
Yeah, as long as they're not repulsed by the CG and you aren't, like, I don't know. I mean, again, like, the design sense in the CG is probably the biggest turnoff most people are going to have. Yeah. Maybe you don't care about the plot. Maybe you think the characters are boring and annoying, but, like, they are well written. There's no reason to think that, you know, this show wouldn't interest you unless you were just like, high school drama plots are dumb and these characters are too stupid.
And it may well. I could see this show just becoming very boring and mundane. That could definitely happen. If they don't make the story more interesting, because like we're at the starting gate, right? I need things to escalate and get more interesting as they go, or at least have like good character arcs for us to explore.
From what I've heard, this manga is good.
I guess reason to be hopeful then.
Yeah, well, that's our thoughts. That's our Can-Tan,
baby.
Beastars. I'm Digibro. This is your channel, so you can
find him at links down below in the description. This whole channel.
We've got another video that's going to come out on this channel in this style, I guess. Which is the new Tales from the Bottom of the Mal seasonal chart.
You'll see that very soon after this.
You should also go to my channel because we did 2 more videos of like this nature.
We should make a playlist that's just called Can-Tan. That's all the stuff we've made while we've been here together.
There's we did a Has Been Hotel review of the pilot of that, and we also did a fucking Eromanga Sensei.
The
video,
glorious return of Eromanga Sensei Weekly.
Probably be out before this one. So go watch that stuff on the Digibro channel, and tell us if we should open a new channel for the two of us.
We're thinking about it.
We've been talking about doing something like this, except without being in person, and just making its own channel for it. Let us know what you think about that.
Sounds like a plan. Bye. See you soon.
I'm gay.
Oh shit! And make a new channel we have. Go and check out the brand new channel. Content, a BGE Digibro collaborative venture. We're going to be talking about anime and everything else we feel like in long-form videos just like these ones that we are going to be making bi-weekly. All these videos in this series will be uploaded to that channel, and as a matter of fact, you would have seen this video a day early if you were subscribed to that channel, and you will see the next one, the next Tales from the Bottom, a day early on that channel if you go and subscribe, so I encourage you to do so. I'll be making quite a few videos with my boy Digi over there from here on out. What is content, you ask? It is the alpha. It is the omega. It is all, and it is nothing. It always has been, and it never was. It is simply content. Now go and consume. Content!